Hey guys, in this video I'm going to go over what you should check when buying a used vehicle. Some of the most important things. I'm probably not going to touch on everything, but definitely the most important things to check when buying a used vehicle. If you guys have anything you want to add or anything you think I may have missed that is important, be sure to drop it in the comment section below. First thing you want to do though is when you get in touch with the seller, you're going to want to get the title and make sure you got a nice clean title. It's not a salvage title. Make sure that the spots on the back of the title haven't been pre-filled or filled out incorrectly, because that right there alone can stop you from being able to register the vehicle. So it's very important to make sure you got a clean title and it's not a salvage title or anything of that such. So once we know we have a clean title and we're all good there, I usually like to, if I'm spending more than $1,000, it's a very good idea to run a carfax on the vehicle. That's going to give you any service history, if they've had it at any dealerships or it's been in any accidents or anything. That's really going to tell you, it's going to give you a lot of information. It's a very good resource. I'll leave that link below on the carfax, along with the Kelly Blue Book value. Before you go to look at the vehicle, you're obviously going to want to know what it's valued at, so you know if you're getting a good deal or not. And if you're looking to resell the car, obviously you're going to want to make sure you get at a better deal than what you think you can sell it for. So once you have all that checked out and it's a go, then we're going to go ahead and inspect the vehicle. So first off, usually what I like to do is just come in and start it up. When you're starting it, make sure that you don't hear any odd noises on startup, any knocking, clicking, grinding, moaning, anything out of the ordinary. I like to check the air conditioning, because that can be a pretty pricey repair. So just turn the air conditioning on, make sure that's blowing cold. If it's not, that's more or less just going to be a negotiation tactic. Maybe you guys can work on the price a little bit. And then just look at your gauges. Make sure, definitely make sure you have no check engine lights, ABS lights, airbag lights. Make sure all your gauges are working. As you can see here, it looks like they're working. The gas gauge is reading empty, so that could be a concern. Either it's empty or it's not working properly. Second, and definitely if you're buying a used car, especially if it has to go through an admissions inspection, you're going to want to hook a little scan tool up to it. Now you got a couple different options. I just have this little handheld one here, relatively cheap on Amazon. I'll leave a link below. Also, there's a couple other ones out there that are Bluetooth that hook to your phone. They run an app on your phone. There's I think it's a Blue Drive, which is good, but I'll leave those links in the description below, so be sure to check them. We're going to go ahead and plug this into the OBD2 connector, which is going to be located under the dash. Here it's just this white connector. Sometimes it'll be black, sometimes it'll be white, but we're going to go ahead and plug this in. And what I have here is just a very simplified OBD2 scanner. It checks monitors and it checks for codes. So I'm just going to hit read. This will probably take a second here, and this is going to tell us if we have any pending codes, stored codes, and if the monitors have been set. If the monitors haven't been set, then that means somebody cleared the check engine light, which means there's probably an underlying problem that they're applying to cover up, which wouldn't be a good thing. So, all right. So even though we don't have a check engine light, it's saying we have a stored code. So chances are they may have cleared this out and it's just starting to reset. Well, we got a P0455, which is for an evap system, and if we scroll down, it's going to tell us if our monitors have been set. So it says monitors there, and it says 0 incomplete. So that means all of them have ran, all the monitors have ran. So this is the only issue that we have with this vehicle. So that could be a major concern. That could stop you from passing emissions inspections if you have them in your state. So you're going to want to address that, or negotiate the price upon that problem there. If you come in here and it has 0 codes, but it says you have 2 incomplete monitors, 3 incomplete monitors, 4 incomplete monitors, then that means somebody cleared this check engine light recently and the vehicle hasn't been driven enough to reset any codes that may have been there. So if those monitors haven't been set, you're going to want to drive this vehicle until they are set to make sure there's no underlying issues that you don't know about. If they have a catalytic converter problem that they could not pass inspection for, that could be a costly repair, and they could have just cleared the light in order to flip the vehicle real quick. So definitely something to be very cautious of. You're always going to want to check the OBD2 information on a used vehicle before you purchase it, especially if your state has emissions laws. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is check under the hood here. And basically we're just going to do a visual inspection, all the hoses, the belts, and just see what kind of general condition this vehicle's in. It doesn't really look like anybody's been under here cleaning anything up, so that's actually a good sign. We'll easily be able to identify any leaks or any problems. If underneath the hood has been all detailed and is super shiny and clean, then that is kind of a sign for caution. They may be trying to cover up something that was there that you're not going to be able to see now. So if it looks too good to be true, in a lot of cases it is, as I'm sure you probably heard before. I like to pull the cap first off, check for any kind of blow by or sludge. This looks pretty clean. If you see a milky foamy substance, then that could be cause for concern. Some vehicles you will see some foamy sludge depending on the model. If they're having any PCV issues or blow by issues of that sort, it could be somewhat normal and nothing to be too concerned about. But in some cases it could be a head gasket issue too. So if you have a foamy, frothy looking engine oil, then it's definitely something you're going to want to look into a little further. Obviously you're going to want to check your engine oil. If it's super clean, that may be a concern. Unless they have service records, they could have just changed it or possibly be trying to cover up any issues. If you see any metallic colored flakes in the oil, that's probably a no-go. And next you just want to go over all the fluids, check your coolant. Once again, check for foamy, oily looking coolant. If you see that, that's going to be a concern. Make sure it's clean, full. Make sure all your fluids are full. If they're full, if they're not full, or if they're low at all, then that may be a sign of a problem somewhere, a leak or some kind of consumption issue. We got our brake fluid here, looks relatively full. Our power steering fluid, that is actually a little low, so we may want to just go with this power steering system and make sure we don't have any leaks. So I'm not seeing anything too concerning under here. I mean, this is an older vehicle. There are going to be some minor seeps and leaks. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and start it up, and we're going to listen for any noises, any unusual noises. And we're just listening for belt noises, howling noises, grinding noises. And also, while we have it running here, it's not a bad idea to pull the oil cap, just kind of feel for any puffs of air, any kind of pressure. If you're starting to get some bad engine rings or a high mile motor, you might get blow by and you'll kind of feel it. This feels nice. There's really nothing. I feel no air puffing out of there, so that's a good sign. Also, you may want to have the seller just rev the gas up a little bit. And while they do that, just come back to the exhaust here. Make sure you aren't seeing any smoke of any kind. White smoke or blue smoke. White smoke may be indicating of a head gasket issue. If you got blue smoke, you could be burning some oil. This doesn't look too bad here. So this engine seems like it's checking out pretty good. It's nice and quiet. The oil doesn't look too bad. I'm not getting any blow-bys, so the engine seems pretty sound. Obviously, we still need to test drive it and feel for any issues there. This transmission has a sealed transmission, so we're not able to check the fluid condition, but so that's going to be more of a test drive thing. On the test drive, we're going to make sure it's shifting smoothly. You're going to want to start from the stop and accelerate pretty heavily. Make sure it just shifts through the gears smoothly. You're not getting any whining, any shuddering, any kind of moaning, any awkward noises at all, groaning. So those are definitely the kind of things you're going to want to listen for on the test drive and feel for. Next, we're just going to go underneath and make sure there's no major leaks. So let's see how it looks under here. And it looks like, I mean, we got some moisture there, and that looks like the power steering cooler. Someone's put some clamps on that to try and stop that from leaking. That explains why the power steering fluid is low. Kind of like I said, if you got any low fluid, then that's probably an indication of some issues. Kind of looking here, I'm not seeing any major leaks. This vehicle has very high mileage, so some seeping is not going to be out of the ordinary. Kind of comes with the territory of a high mileage vehicle, but mainly you just want to make sure you don't have anything major. It does look like we have some rust issues, so we're going to have to go over this pretty thoroughly as far as the frame is concerned, and the body and all that, and make sure we have no rust outs, because that could stop us from getting this vehicle inspected if we have any body rust or frame rust. We will run into problems with a safety inspection if you have safety inspection in your state. So those are a lot of the big concerns there. I mean, if you can't register the car, if you can't inspect the car, then you can't drive the car. So anything that's going to stop you from getting registered and inspected is going to be very, very important. So next I'm just going to do a walk around, providing the test drive turns out good. You know, you got our engine noise is shifting nice, so far so good. We're going to do a walk around, kind of look at we're going to look at body damage and rust. And if you see any evidence of the vehicle being hit, like here, it looks like it's pretty obvious. We got some chipped paint in the back. Looking at this quarter here, it's actually a little, looks like we got a little waviness there. So it looks like, I would say this car's probably been rear-ended. So we're definitely going to have to inspect for some frame damage, or what kind of other damage that we may not be seeing in behind this plastic bumper. I'm going to go ahead and pop the trunk and see the severity of that damage. Could be a lot more than meets the eye. Okay, yeah. And as you can see there, this subframe is actually completely crumbled in. Chances are, if this was an insurance claim, that would probably be bad enough to total this vehicle. So that right there would probably be enough to make me not want to purchase this vehicle. It could fail for inspection. Let's take a quick look underneath, see how bad this actually is. Man, well, we can't see a whole lot here. What I can see is that evap canister, which we did have an evap code, so that could be partly related to that. Looks like we have a kinked hose here, and that's probably from this it's probably from this rear quarter being pushed up so far. We pushed this canister up, it crinked these hoses, so we definitely got an issue there. And as you can see, got some rust. Looks like the exhaust has been repaired recently. Well, as it stands right now, I think that body damage is probably enough to make this car a no-go, unfortunately. But those are the kind of things you want to look for, and I'm glad, definitely something you're going to want to be aware of if you were to purchase a used car. So I'm sure I missed a few things, so be sure to leave comments below to help anybody out on YouTube that is looking to purchase a used vehicle. Yeah, just drop a comment and add to this. I mean, there's so many things in the vehicle. I just try to touch on a few of the most important things, and to me, obviously, the most important is the engine going to last? Is the transmission going to last? Am I going to be able to inspect this vehicle? Am I going to be able to register this vehicle? Before you even go to look at it, you want to make sure you're going to be able to register it by verifying the title. You may want to run a carfax before you even waste your time. And then once you get there, you're going to want to make sure the vehicle is going to be inspectable. And if it's not, what it's going to take to fix it, and negotiate from there. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.